Hey guys, Mike Martin here. Okay, so today I'm going to do a video. This is something that's been brought up in quite a few of our trainings recently, is content, I nearly said keyword clustering, content clustering. A lot of people are talking about content clustering, ranking without backlinks, being able to rank a website without really going off page and doing a lot of ranking. And so I decided to do a little bit of research about what most people are looking into, and the way I actually do content clustering, why it's slightly different, but it's a lot easier. It's a lot more simple, and it means anyone can do it without knowing anything about the subject. Okay, so I'm just going to dive right in, and we will do it based on. Right, we'll do it on fencing, okay? Because I've done a few videos on fencing recently. Let's pick on Fencing Company London again. Okay, so let's imagine we're building a website. The first thing I want to do when I'm considering the content is I'm going to write an article. Okay, so we're going to go straight over to page rewriter.com, and I'm going to do a Fencing Company London. So the first thing I would do is pull in content for Fencing Company London, and then I'm going to choose the location London. And then we're going to click get content. And then what page rewriter will do is go off to the first page of Google, and it will search and it will find content, all the content from the first page of Google, which means it's pulling in content that Google loves, Google likes, Google wants you to use. So we don't have to overthink it. We literally say, all right, we're pulling in all the best content straight out of the box. Next step is rewrite it, and we've got good content. Okay, so we've got the content in, and the reason I use this is because when I thought about it, I realized that we can just pull in a few of these paragraphs I've pulled in the past. So when we're pulling in the content, we can say garden fencing in London has been providing London homes and businesses. So we'll pull that in: red cedar fencing, wire mesh fencing, security fencing, steel palisade fencing, wrought iron fencing. Another advantage. I'm not going to go OTT and write all the fucking content and spend hours and hours and hours on this video. I'm going to give you the idea and show you exactly how I do it, right? So, for example, first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull in all the content for the home page. We're going to come over here. I'm going to put rewrite most, and I'm going to click rewrite. And I'm just going to do one because I don't use spin text at all. I know this does the thing where it does a sentence level. So we now have, right, the content for our homepage. Okay, so in fact, let me just jump over to a diagram tool. 1 second. Right, so let's say the homepage is in blue, right? So we're gonna have. Oops, did that not work? Okay, I just. All right, let me just delete that one very quickly. Add a new one. Right, so we're gonna say Fencing Company London. Right, so first page of the website is going to look like, it's going to be like this, and it's going to include this content. Okay, so all we're going to do, forget about content clustering, forget about creating a framework or a tree or a branched off diagram to explain exactly how to write the content. Get the page and write all the fucking content that's going to be relevant for Fencing Company London or Plumber London or whatever it is you're trying to rank for, right? Just create the content for that page. Use page rewriter, pull back all the best content, get the right stuff, write the content, long content. Then what we want to do after we've looked at the long content, you want to then say to yourself, right, so what we're trying to do now is build authority for this particular page, right? And it's really simple. So what a lot of people do is they're like, how do I look into the LSIs and how do I look into additional keywords and where do I go? What do we do? Well, you've already got it right in front of you. Okay, so looking at this one we've got on the page here, Fencing Company London provides high quality fencing at affordable prices to London homes and business owners. Okay, the red cedar fence, there we go. Right, so if you imagine you're a 3-year-old kid, yeah, and you're explaining this to them, right, and they're going to go through and they're going to know what most of these words mean, but then you're going to say red cedar fence and they're going to be like, what does that mean? Okay, try and act like a 3-year-old, like a baby, like, oh shit, what does that mean? If there's anything ever pops up and you don't know what it means, then that's an opportunity to create, so let's copy that, an additional page of content, right? So let's pull back over to the diagram we had before, and let's say, okay, so this is Fencing Company London page. We want to give this page authority. We want to make it rank, right? So we want to add some additional content. So straight away, we'll add an article about red cedar fencing. The benefits of wire mesh fencing. Right, watch this. So what we're going to do, we're going to go into here. We're going to add another one. We're going to paste wire mesh fencing in there. Oh, let me just drag that over. We're going to go back over here. We're going to say medium, high level security. If I wanted additional security to provide security fences, yes, security fences is a good one. Okay, so we're doing the 3-year-old thing. Okay, what is it? Okay, you say to a security, it's a 3-year-old. What's the security fence? They're gonna be like, yeah, exactly. You read it out. If you're reading a book to your kid and they'd be like, what's that mean? Then add additional, right? So I'm going through here. Steel palisade fence. I still don't know what that is, and I've written it down a few times in the past now. I'm going to put another one up here, right? So basically, why are we doing it this way? Well, what we're doing now is we're creating pages that are going to be relevant to the page that we've already written, right? Raw iron fence is another one right there. Right, we'll have that, and then we'll call that the last one for this, just for the video. Right, so we've got these 5 different ones, right? Now, these we want to pass authority to this page. They're not designed for fuck all else. They're not designed to do anything else. We don't want them to rank. We definitely don't want them to steal the keywords from the Fencing Company London page, because we don't want Google looking at it and saying, which page do you want me to rank? Okay. So what we want to be able to do now is, just from that little bit of content I've just pulled out, we've created 5 new pages. So what do we do next? Well, the first thing we do is, let's say we were going after raw iron fencing, yeah? Or raw iron fences, right? I'd come back over to Page Rewriter. I'd create a new project. I'd go in and say raw iron fences or raw iron fencing. Probably would be a better keyword for it. We'll go back into the content section. I'm going to paste in raw iron fencing. I don't even know if I'm spelling it right. Okay. I'd probably stick on London, because we were targeting the area of London, and what we want to do is make sure that we're pulling in local lingo and things like that. So you wouldn't want to be doing that for Miami or somewhere in the States if you're doing something for the UK, because people call things differently and there's different words. And I'm going to get the content, right? And I'll explain to you in a little bit more detail exactly how we create the connection, how we validate it, okay? How we actually set it all up so that it basically gives the page more authority. And you'll have seen it so many times, but you won't realize you've seen it. But when doing content clustering, it's absolutely easy. So the same, with exactly the same situation here, right? We'd go into the paragraphs and we'd read through all the paragraphs, right? And we'd find everything to do with raw iron fencing, okay? Everything that we want relevant. So that the Abbey fence panels are constructed using solid steel with blah, 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 raw iron appearance. The Abbey railings are constructed. So there's loads of shit. We don't know anything about that. We don't need to know anything about it, right? Because why? Because the content we're pulling from Page Rewriter is from the first page of Google. It's already ranking. Google loves it. So we're pulling all the content we like the look of. We take it over to the AI rewriter, and then we rewrite it, retains the meaning. Okay, and everybody's telling you nowadays you don't need to worry about keywords anymore and keyword stuffing. Google understands the page. So if we can let it understand the page that's passing across the meaning that it already likes because we're pulling it from the first page, we're going to win every single time. Okay, so basically what we're going to do now is we're going to go through and create a document for the raw iron fencing. We're going to go and create a document for the YMS fencing, one for the red cedar fencing. We're going to do one for the steel palisade fencing, right? And these documents are done for nothing else than to pass authority through to these pages like this, okay? So what we want to be doing is passing authority to this top page here so that it ranks better, right? So it ranks better. So it validates whatever's on it is getting more validation than if we... Oops, that's not going to work. I'll go all the way up. Than if we just write the document and leave it, okay? So if you're struggling to rank something, get back down here, you. Does it let me do it? No. Oh, yeah, I'll do that. Right? These are all separate links. These guys, just this is not the best thing for showing off. And obviously, they're all just going to be pointing into that first one. So what we want to do is pass all the authority. So now, this document here that's maybe 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 words. Let's say we've written a document that's 300 words on palisade fencing, 300 words on security fencing, 300 words on red cedar fencing, 300 to 500 words on wire mesh fencing, and so on and so forth. Yeah, and what we're doing here, we're not looking to try and rank it. We're trying to look to basically just validate whatever's on the page. So now let's go back to the very first one. So let me go back to the first project that we were on. Fencing Company London, click select, right? So the writing we've got here, I don't know if you guys can see that. I don't know how to zoom in, so I guess we're just gonna have to deal with it, right? But say the writing we've got here, right? What I would then do is I would go through the first page. Sorry, I would go through the content that we've got on our website, right? And I'd be reading this content, the blue content, right? and I'd be going down and say, right, garden fencing London has been providing London homes and business owners with high quality fencing at affordable prices. Red cedar fencing, bang, okay. So wherever we find anything to do with red cedar fencing on the first page, on that page, what we're going to do is we're going to stick a link on it, an internal link, and we're going to link it through to the red cedar fencing page, okay? We're going to carry on reading through wherever it says wire mesh fencing. We're going to link it through to the wire mesh fencing one, okay? Wherever we've got security fences, and people are like, well, don't we want to pass the authority up to this page, not down, right? No, right? Think about it like this, right? Imagine you're trying to learn. Imagine you're a 3-year-old kid again, and you sat there and you're trying to learn something about a subject, okay? When something pops up, a word you don't understand, it happened to me when I was an insurance broker. The word fortuitous was in something I was learning. I was like, what the fuck is that? We didn't have Google back in the day. So I had to wait till the next day, go into the office, ask my office manager what it meant. She told me, and then I could carry on studying and working for my exams. So it's kind of a shit example, but it kind of makes sense. So it's the exact same thing, right? These words pop up. And if you imagine you're a 3-year-old kid, you're looking, shit, what does that mean? So what we want to be able to do is inside the content, when somebody's reading it and they're like, what is that? If anything that says, what is that? That's an opportunity for you to do the content clustering and to then start validating the page and giving it more validity, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, right? So then what we're going to do is we go through the document. Every time we see steel palisade fencing, that's going to link to the steel palisade. Then, after we've done that, we go through each of these documents, right? And what we're then doing is the same thing. So let's imagine this here, even though it's not, was on the red cedar fencing. I'd go through here, garden fencing London, yeah? I'd probably link back from that straight away to this one. It's a keyword we want to rank for. It's a keyword that explains to people what they're doing, okay? Similar situation, has been providing London's homes and businesses high quality fencing at affordable prices. Red cedar fencing is practical, beautiful, outdoor spaces. So what I'd do is I'd go back through now and I'm going to find any keywords that are related, that can bring people back to this. So what you're going to do in each document is you're going to pass people back and forth. So when they're looking for this and they're trying to figure out what's red cedar fencing, they click on that, it's going to take them to the red cedar fencing one. But halfway through the red cedar fencing one, it might say garden fencing London. It might say London Fencing Company. It might say best company, fencing company in London. And people are going to be thinking to themselves, yeah, but how many do we do? And how many don't we do? We don't care how many we do, okay? Don't overthink it. These are internal links. This is not something where you can think to yourself, okay, you're not going to stick 500 on a page, or you're not going to stick 50 or 60 on a page, but you could have 10, you could have 12, because all it's doing is sending them around the site, and every single one of the links is relevant, right? And then what happens next is, then you're saying to yourself, okay, I need to pass more relevance to this top page. Okay, I'm not going to carry on in the video on this, but I'm going to explain it to you a little bit. We want to pass more relevance to this page. So then what do we do here, right? Well, we've got a page here all about wire mesh fencing, right? So then we're going to go through the wire mesh fencing page using the same strategy. Okay, we're a 3-year-old. We don't know anything. And we're reading about wire mesh fencing, and it's all about blah, blah, blah. Wire mesh fencing has been used on a chicken coop for XYZ. What's a chicken coop? But we'd send it through, and it seems like it's got nothing to do with the fencing company. But you'd have a page of content, and you don't need 1,000 words of content, 1,500 words of content. So it's a page on the site that explains what a chicken coop is, why they'd want to use a chicken coop. And if you wanted a fencing company London, okay, to come and create a wire mesh fencing for your chicken coop, what we're going to do, fencing company London, from the chicken coop page is going to link back up to the fencing company London site, and in addition to that, this is going to be linking down to it. And then let's say other ways that we use wire mesh fencing. So what we're going to do is we're going to look through, and any keyword that needs explanation on the page, we're going to create an additional page of content for that. So think of Wikipedia, the way it works, takes you all over the place. Every single thing has a link, takes you to the next page, to the next page, to the next page. But what you're doing is it's giving it pure validation. So basically, this fencing company London website, when you start creating it like that, then you think, okay, well, I've just pulled out these 5. And look at this, because we only brought in a few sentences. Let's say you're probably going to be wanting to do 1,000 to 2,000 words of content on your homepage for Fencing Company London, meaning you're going to end up with 20, 30, 40, 50 of these that you can actually create, which are going to provide validation to that page, and that's going to really fill that page out for when you're being searched on Google for your rankings, okay? And then underneath that, if you want to carry on doing it further, you could have 5 or 10 pages under every single one of these. And when I say under, I don't necessarily mean under, but I mean, like, let's say we had an additional bunch of pages around here, which were all about, and I'm trying to think now on the fly. So we're talking about chicken. I don't even know how to spell it. So let's just say we spell it like that. It's probably wrong. In fact, I reckon it's probably double O. Chicken coops. And then let's say we've got school fencing, wire mesh, prison fence. I'm assuming. Right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to have this coming into here. So what we're going to do is we're going to, and obviously, when you're talking about wire mesh fencing, you're not likely going to be mentioning a prison. So I would very much doubt that there's going to be any prison content in there. However, you were getting what I'm talking about. So now we're going to have a page about chicken coops. We're going to have a page about school fencing. We're going to have a page about prison fences, which is probably wrong, but you could call it an animal prison. And that way, the YMS fencing page is then getting even more validation from these additional pages. So every time somebody comes to a word on there where it's not relevant to the keywords to the first page, what we're then going to do is add a keyword on it, link it, send it through, and write another 150, 200 words of content. Now, you've got to think about it this way. Right? People are going to look at it and think, fucking hell, it's going to be a nightmare to write all that content. But it's not, because we've all got Page ReWriter. So literally doing 200 or 300 words of content takes you 2 or 3 minutes, maybe 7 to 10 minutes maximum. So if I wanted to do about school fencing, I'd type in the keyword school fencing. I'd pull back around about 10,000 words of content from the first page of Google that's already written with the right meaning that Google likes. That's why it's on the first page of Google. I'd bring it all into a document. I'd take it over to the ReWriter. I'd rewrite it and I'd paste it straight into the school fencing one. I'd then do the same thing for the chicken coop, same thing for the prison fences. That one's going to be sorted. When we're doing the raw iron fencing, you're probably then got, this can go back up there as well, I would imagine, because I'm assuming they've got iron fences. Not going to have wooden fences, security fences. Do you know what? We can probably have that one link into there as well somewhere along the lines, okay? But what I'm saying is this is now going to give all of this validity. So when you're going through what people are showing you about content clustering and how to cluster it and how to write the content and how to stick it together, don't sit there and try and create a massive, big, gigantic diagram. Create one page of content. Aim for a couple of thousand words. That's going to be good enough in most industries. Go through the document and pick out any words where you think, oh, what is that? Then add an additional article for that. Then go through those additional articles and do the exact same process. And then look at it and think, right, can any of these link back to any of the others? And if they can, we do that. And what we end up with is a massive cluster of content, all based around the one page right at the top. That's the page that we want to rank. Everything else is not there to rank. Everything else is there to validate that page. And then when Google looks at it and it's like, wow, okay, all this power you've created underneath here, this is kind of how people are ranking without backlinks. And it's pretty fucking easy, okay? It's not difficult, it's not hard, it's pretty obvious. The thing is, most of the training I've seen people do make it sound super complicated, super difficult. So that's why I thought, you know what? A few people mentioned it in our training this week. I thought, you know what? I'll just stick up a quick video. Hope it makes it really, really simple for you guys. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.